This video is made possible by Virtual Shield, the leader in virtual private networks. Click on the link below today and get 50% off their subscription plan for life. That's virtualshield.com. CNN is in utter panic mode as the mainstream media is throwing the supposed news network under the bus. In this video, we're going to take a look at the scandal surrounding the Cuomo brothers and how it's increasingly alienating CNN from the wider mainstream media. We're going to look at how CNN is trying to deceptively whitewash the scandal, and we're going to see why, when all is said and done, this scandal may indeed be the final nail in CNN's coffin. You're not gonna want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, I am your daily fake news antidote, as each and every day I provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. A quick note, I am so excited to announce our brand new Conservative Patriot Live virtual event on September 3rd and 4th, where I and several special guests will teach you to build a society completely free from all things woke and experience once again the nation that we know and love. Make sure to click on the link below right now to get your tickets to this awesome and unique event. And to make it even sweeter, you ready for this? Tickets are 90% off until this Wednesday night. 90% off, so don't wait. Click on that link below right now and register for our new Conservative Patriot Live event on September 3rd and 4th. And get ready to help build a society free from all things woke. You're going to absolutely love it. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We've got a fascinating development in the world of the fake news media. The Cuomo Fallout continues to sink CNN, and it's causing the network to go into a full-blown crisis mode. And that's because the Cuomo Fallout is causing CNN to basically become estranged from the wider mainstream Marxist media. CNN is fast becoming the single most distrusted name in fake news, and that's because the rest of the mainstream media is beginning to overtly turn their backs on CNN, calling them out for blatantly violating the most basic ethical standards for journalists. News outlet after news outlet, they're coming out and very deliberately distancing themselves from CNN and in effect isolating the troubled network from their wider mainstream media. And they're doing this for their own survival, as some left-wing activists disguised as journalists are openly admitting. So really quick, if you're not familiar with what's going on here, you definitely want to check out my video on the colossal collapse of the Cuomos for some of the background here. But the basic gist of it is that an official investigation by New York's Attorney General into the behavior of Governor Andrew Cuomo did indeed confirm that Cuomo has consistently and overtly used his positions of power to sexually harass female underlings half his age. We're talking about instances of touching their intimate body parts without consent, which of course is illegal in the state of New York and will most likely bring charges against the governor. The latest is that the New York legislatures are indeed drafting articles of impeachment against Cuomo, and most pundits are predicting that Cuomo's days in office are numbered. He's going down one way or another, either by resignation or impeachment. He's fast becoming the face of the Democratic Party, and that's the last thing they frankly want. So we'll keep an eye on how all of that plays out. But as far as CNN is concerned, what's rocking their world is what the Attorney General's report revealed about their primetime anchor, Chris Cuomo. We now know that Chris, in fact, advised his governor brother to take a defiant position against his accusers and fight back against the accusations. So Chris Cuomo, who's supposedly the champion of the Me Too movement and believe all women, right? Speaking of, by the way, let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? What do you think Chris Cuomo was saying about Brett Kavanaugh and his accusers during his Supreme Court confirmation process? Well, what do you know? He was openly stating that the presumption of innocence didn't apply to Kavanaugh. How do you like that? The presumption of innocence that he's extending, of course, towards his governor brother didn't apply to Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, well, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, it is convenient. And so are Cuomo's comments about the Me Too movement back then as well. Take a look.
There's something else that we need in these situations that has not been allowed to date. And I know this is not comfortable to talk about, and I know some people won't be comfortable with what I say. But we need to be able to struggle in moments like this. The Me Too movement has empowered people who have been too often disadvantaged, forgotten, and disrespected. That's just the truth. Everyone must be heard, whether you like what they say or not. And too often, when it is clear that something wrong happened in the past, it's been denied or dealt with deceptively.
That same man who you just heard, who you just saw, that same man was cited in this newly released AG report as one of the New York governor's advisors, and his advice involved how to crush these women making the accusations of sexual misconduct against his brother. And this all while both Chrissy and Andrew claimed that they were all for women's rights and champions of the Me Too movement. Okay? This is why the mainstream media isn't trusted anymore. They're all seen as a bunch of liars and deceivers. And that's why more and more members of the mainstream media are starting to distance themselves from both Cuomo and from CNN. Eric Wemple of the Washington Post, he's calling CNN to launch a full investigation to Cuomo and his role in advising his governor brother on how to skirt these allegations against him. In particular, Wemple excoriated Brian Stelter's cringeworthy attempt to gaslight and whitewash Cuomo's role in advising his governor brother. Take a look at this utter embarrassment.
More now on the Cuomo brothers. Chris Cuomo has a lot to say, but right now he cannot say it. CNN management has made two things clear to him. One, that he can't talk about his brother, Andrew Cuomo, on TV. And two, that he cannot participate in any more strategy sessions with the governor's aides. So if you're wondering why Chris has remained silent about the scandal, well, that is why. This week I've been doing reporting on the media angle of this Cuomo story, which has meant talking with staffers here at CNN about Chris Cuomo and his one-of-a-kind situation. TV star in primetime, governor's brother at all times. Now, let's just be candid with each other. These staffers I'm talking with are my colleagues, of course, and I assured them they could speak anonymously and candidly. What I found is a more complicated story than you might think. This has been a conundrum for CNN that has no perfect answer, no perfect solution. Some think CNN made it worse by letting Chris interview his brother when COVID-19 was ravaging New York. But that was an unprecedented time period. And so is this one. A famous family in the news. A governor who soared to the highest heights last year, now falling to the lowest lows. Self-inflicted wounds. And a brother who just wants to do his job, just wants to anchor his show. But can he? That's the key question. Well, this week, Chris showed that he can. He tuned out the family drama and led compelling interviews during Cuomo prime time, all while dealing with what has to be one of the hardest periods of his adult life. Viewers...
The most trusted name in news. I mean, look, Brian, this isn't a conundrum, as you put in your cute little crayon there. Cuomo isn't a conundrum for CNN. This is corruption. This is out and out corruption. This is a news channel, a supposed news channel that claims to be covering the New York governor's repeated sexual harassment scandals objectively. All the while your major primetime anchor is advising him behind the scenes on how to fight back against the very allegations you claim to be covering objectively. It's beyond absurd. And fortunately, the rest of the mainstream media sees it. According to the Washington Post, Eric Wemple, quote, "There is nothing at all complicated about the story. CNN flouted journalistic ethics in spring 2020 when it allowed Chris Cuomo to host his brother about a dozen times in flattering gab sessions. And then, when the governor's COVID-19 sexual harassment scandals piled up in early 2021, the network somehow tracked down its internal guidelines and banned Chris Cuomo from covering his brother. This is not a conundrum. It is corruption. This is blatant journalistic corruption that Brian Stelter is actively and deliberately trying to gaslight. CNN blatantly violated the ethical line of a conflict of interest when it contributed to their ratings, only to reassert that line when Governor Cuomo got caught and got put into political trial. It's corruption. In fact, the Washington Post is reporting that Chris Cuomo is still advising his governor brother while he's on vacation. He hasn't stopped. He continues to advise a serial sexual harasser who violates every tenet of the Me Too movement. And yet another Washington Post columnist, Margaret Sullivan, she's called on CNN to indefinitely suspend Cuomo. You wonder whether they should be suspending Stelter for his blatant dishonesty. The Washington Examiner's come in and asked, how, after this bombshell revelation, how is Chris Cuomo going to be able to report anything plausibly from this point forward? How is he going to cover other politician scandals? How is he going to be able to cover COVID, given his brother's blatant attempt at covering up the death toll numbers from COVID-positive patients that he sent into nursing homes? This is exactly what the Leftist Journalism Institute Poynter is pointing out in their piece on Cuomo, noting that his advising his governor brother is going to be hard to forget when he tries to report on similar accusations made against other public figures. But USA Today reveals the real reason why the leftist activists disguised as journalists are isolating Chris Cuomo and CNN as of today. It's because their corruption implicates the whole of the mainstream media. Quote, when it comes to credibility and trust, people don't see individual reporters or news organizations. They simply see the media. So when one journalist or outlet makes questionable choices, the tarnish can easily spread to others. So in the end, this isn't about maintaining the integrity of journalistic standards. No. As far as the wider mainstream media is concerned, it's all about distancing themselves from CNN so that they don't go down with this ship, so they don't get taken down as well. CNN is indeed in a crisis mode as we speak. They're being increasingly isolated by the wider mainstream media that's every bit as corrupt as they are, but who are trying to salvage any semblance of trust that remains with them by distancing themselves from them. As far as CNN, it may well be the case when we look back some years from now, it was the Cuomo scandal that led to this once prominent news network's ultimate demise. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the huge backfire that's going on against the social justice warrior Megan Rapinoe, and her Subway sandwich ads. You're going to absolutely love it. And finally, gang, we got an amazing deal for you from our good friends over at Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield is a leader in VPNs, or virtual private networks, on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device, which protects you while browsing the internet. And for just this month alone, the month of August, they are offering 50% off their subscription plan for life. You get half off the life of your subscription if you sign up this month in August. It doesn't get better than that. So make August the month you take the plunge and begin protecting yourself. Click on that link in the description below and sign up for a free, risk-free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN today.